I'm going to start off by quoting Thomas Jefferson. No free man shall be debarred of his use of arms. Regardless of the utility or disutility of guns, laws about them are circumscribed by the Constitution. The Second Amendment means what it says. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep to bear arms shall not be infringed. Gun control proponents have argued that the use of the word people in this amendment refers not to the civilian population of the United States, but to the state National Guard units. Gun rights proponents have argued that the use of the word militia in this amendment refers not to the state National Guard units, but to the citizens of the United States. Although the requirement to arm no longer exists, the definition of militia has stayed the same. Section 311A of Volume 10 of the U.S. Code declares, the militia of the U.S. consists of able-bodied males at least 17 years of age and under 45 years of age. The next section of the code distinguishes the organized militia from the unorganized militia. The modern Federal National Guard was specifically raised under Congress's power to raise and support armies, not its power to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia. Our country's foundation is based on the rights and amendments in the Constitution, and if you strip individuals of their right to bear arms to protect themselves, you are denying them of their natural-born rights as citizens of this nation. The Bill of Rights is almost the sacred document to Americans. The Second Amendment guarantees the right to have arms. No legislation should have the power to take that away without repealing the amendment first. George Mason, in Virginia Convention at the ratification of the Constitution, says, to disarm the people was the best and most effectual way to enslave them. Guns are dangerous, but hardly as dangerous as gun control advocates contend. 3 times as many people are accidentally killed by firearms, says the National Safety Council. The number of people who die in gun accidents is about 1/3 the number who die from drowning. The risks, therefore, of gun ownership by ordinary citizens are quite low. Accidents could be avoided by buying a trigger lock and not cleaning a gun while it's loaded. Unless the gun owner is already a violent thug, he's very unlikely to kill a relative in a moment of passion. If someone in the house is intent on suicide, he'll kill himself by whatever means he needs to. As many as 200,000 women use a gun every year to defend themselves against sexual abuse. With restricting gun control, laws in this place it's almost impossible for an honest, hardworking family in a crime-driven neighborhood to own a firearm as means of protection, whereas any criminal on the streets can acquire one illegally, posing a threat to that family's well-being. According to statistics, there is 1 police officer for 23,000 people in this country. People should have the right to own guns to protect themselves when there is no law enforcement immediately available. Owning a gun can make people live more responsible lives. Having a gun in your possession or in your household means that you have to change your attitudes and your habits in order to control your natural impulses and carelessness in handling a lethal weapon. It increases both power and responsibility. Right to carry laws require law enforcement agencies to issue handgun permits to all qualified applicants, meaning they have to search for your age, a clean criminal record, and completing a firearms security course. The 31 states that have shall issue laws allowing private citizens to carry concealed weapons have on average a 24% violent crime rate, a 19% lower murder rate, and a 39% lower robbery rate than states that forbid concealed weapons. In fact, the 9 states with the lowest violent crime rates are all right-to-carry states. For instance, in Vermont, one of the safest states in this country, citizens can carry a firearm without getting permission, without paying a fee, and without going through any kind of government-imposed waiting period. And yet, for 10 years in a row, Vermont has remained one of the top 5 safest states in the U.S., having 3 times receiving the Safest State Award. In 1982, a suburb of Atlanta passed a law requiring heads of households to keep at least 1 firearm in the house at all times. The residential burglary rate dropped 98% in Kennesaw. 10 years later, the residential burglary rate in Kennesaw was still 72% lower than it had been in 1981 before the law was passed. As of 1998, nationwide, there was been one reported incident in which a permit holder shot someone following a traffic accident. The permit holder was not charged, as the grand jury ruled the shooting as self-defense. Washington, D.C. enacted a virtual ban of handguns in 1976. Between 1976 and 1991, Washington, D.C.'s homicide rate rose 200%, while the U.S. rose 12%. Countries that have been closely monitored by U.S. gun rights groups are Australia, the UK, and Canada. These countries are particularly relevant to the United States due to their similarities in the government and social values. These countries have imposed restrictive gun laws that include registration and handgun bans. Interestingly, these bans have been directly followed by spikes in the rates of breaking and entering, assaults, and other crimes. Switzerland, though its militia system distributes both pistols and fully automatic assault rifles to all adult males, requires them to store their weapons at home. Civilian long gun purchases are essentially